If x versus if x equals true versus if x is true. Apologies if this has been asked before, but I have searched in vain for an answer to my exact question. Basically, with Python 2.7, I have a program running a series of geoprocessing tools, dependent on what is requested via a series of true/false variables that the user adjusts in the script, for example. However, I have now discovered that x does not need to be literally true for the function to run. For example, so any value other than false appears to evaluate to true, which would not be the case for if x equals true or if x is true. Seeing as PEP 8 strongly recommends only using the if x variant, can anybody explain why this behavior occurs? It seems that if x is more a test for if x is not false or if x exists. With that in mind, I believe I should be using if x is true, in this case, despite what PEP 8 has to say.
The following values in Python are false in the context of if and other logical contexts. False. None. Numeric values equal to 0, such as 0, 0.0, minus 0.0 empty strings, and u. Empty containers, such as lists, tuples and dictionaries. Anything that implements _bool_ in Python 3, to return false, or _non-zero_ in Python 2, to return false or 0. Anything that doesn't implement _bool_ in Python 3, or _non-zero_ in Python 2, but does implement _len_ to return a value equal to 0. An object is considered false if any of those applies, and true otherwise, regardless of whether it's actually equal to or identical with false or true. Now, if you've arranged that x is necessarily one of the objects true or false, then you can safely write if x. If you've arranged that the trueness of x indicates whether or not to perform the operation, regardless of type, then you can safely write if x. Where you can write that you should prefer to do so, since it's cleaner to read. Normally, if it is allowed for x to take the value true, then you're in one of those two cases, and so you would not write if x is true. The important thing is to correctly document the meaning of x, so that it reflects the test used in the code. Python programmers are expected to know what's considered true, so if you just document runs the function if x is true, then that expresses what your original code does. Documenting it runs the function if x is true would have a different meaning, and is less commonly used precisely because of the style rule in PEP 8 that says to test for trueness rather than the specific value true. However, if you wanted the code to behave differently in the case where x is an empty container from the case where it is none, then you would write something like if x is not none.
I'd like to add a short example where those three tests differ. The output, pretty formatted.
Are both true. Other truth values. The document explains other values. As far as the PEP 8 reason, it's far more semantic to read, if this _file_ is _green.
It goes without saying that you should write code that does what you need. But in most cases, you simply don't need to say, equals true or is true, because you don't need to distinguish true from other truthy values. So it's recommended to leave that out for simplicity. The case where you definitely should use equals true or is true is when you do need to distinguish true from other truthy values. In your example, do you care about the difference between true and 123? That would tell you which way to code it. One thing about coding, equals true or is true, it will raise a minor red flag when other developers read your code. They won't think it's wrong, they will just wonder why it's there and will want to know why it's important to treat true differently from other truthy values in this particular case. In other words, if you don't need it, it's best not to use it.
Irmã Gemma, nós